Para analizar esta actividad humana que se traduce en este proceso de trabajo.
Now we are going to talk about human activity. Let us take the example of a locomotive to understand better what I want to explain. Imagine a steam locomotive that carries 20 cars for 100 of kilometers. What happens when the steam locomotive carries out this work? It uses energy, doesn't it? The steam produced by the combustion of coal in the boiler. We clearly can distinguish between the work of a locomotive and the energy that has been used by it. The same is true with people. When a person works, she gets tired, sleepy, needs to eat. She has used up her energy and must recover at night to be able to wake up the next day with strength to continue working. We call labor power the human energy employed in work. So here we have a table with all the elements of the labor process, where we have all the means of production that we saw earlier, raw material, means of work, means of production, and there are different features, raw material, direct or indirect means of work, and so on. And the new factor we are talking about, the human energy of the labor power. Now, when an employer pays a salary to a worker, what is the employer paying for? Is the employer paying for the work done by the worker, or is he paying for something else? We are not going to answer immediately this question. As you realize, we are raising some questions that cannot be answered yet. What we do have to remember is that this working condition exists in any labor process. So, up to here we have used very simple examples, the seamstress, the shoemaker, but can we say that the majority of products that we buy in the market today are done by artisans or independent producers? The truth is that in the majority of the cities in which we live, these products do not come from artisans, but from factories, factories that imply the existence of a collective worker. Imagine a small factory without large machines, just a group of seamstresses grouped by a capitalist in a shed, and you will see that another function appears in the labor process, the work of coordinating several workers. This job of coordination and control is done by the supervisors. A director of orchestra is required where there are several musicians, isn't it? Where there is a collective work. Then, within the labor process, we should distinguish between two types of works, the direct work or the work of transforming the raw material into a product, and the job of monitoring and controlling a task required when there are many workers laboring together. We will call direct workers those who are directly transforming the raw material into products, and indirect workers those whose functions are of coordinating, monitoring, and controlling. And we will call all of these workers agents of production. There are then agents of production that work directly with the raw material, and others who work monitoring and controlling. Now, let us ask ourselves if there is any difference between the work undertaken by a textile manufacturer at the end of the 19th century and a modern textile industry. In the case of the textile manufacturer, the first thing a capitalist does is to try to get increased work performance. This is achieved by dividing the work of the various seamstresses. One makes the sleeve, another makes the eyelet, another does one or two parts, and so on, specializing different seamstresses in some type of work. But the textile industry at the end of the 19th century. In that industry, although the seamstress works along others and performed partial aspects of the work, her talent and skills counted. In that case, the capitalist was the owner of the building, the owner of the capital, of the machines, but the ability of the worker still counted. She still had a certain control of the labor process. Some seamstresses did better work than others. Those who did poor work were fired, and only good seamstresses remained. In a large modern industry, this doesn't happen. Consider, for instance, an automobile factory, a factory with monstrous machines. The parts arrive and are mounted by these machines, and the worker is limited to pushing a button. There, the worker has already completely lost control of his work. The capitalist is not only the owner of the means of production, the entire labor process is controlled by him. There are then various forms of dominance or control of the workers on the means of production. This is an important element to make into account. It is what we call technical relation of production. We must distinguish this technical relation of production from the social relation of production that we are going to see in the next chapter. In other words, it is very important to see that capacity the workers have to control the labor process in which they are inserted, because if they do not control anything, they feel absolutely alienated, and it makes no difference if the work is done by him or by another worker. That is why in the large modern industries, the capitalist can quickly change a worker for another one. Pressing a button does not need much expertise.